I've been reliving a very difficult experience. Perhaps you've had one like it. A few years ago, I moved. You've never moved? Too much stuff in one place that won't fit in a new place? I moved from an apartment in Lee Summit to a 3-story house in Northeast. Everything should fit. I mean, there should be plenty of room, right? Had this living room, and I started putting furniture in it. I put the sofa in a particular place. Turns out where I thought it fit, there were no plugs, no outlets around it. So I had to run extension cords around the room to get over there. Had to move the telephone because it was in the wrong place. And put the television in there, and it sort of fit. Then I have this antique, I call it a china closet. It's antique walnut. It has a base that are 2 doors, solid wood, no glass, 2 drawers, and then there's a top section with shelves and 2 glass doors. Now, when I tell you this, you may wonder, what's that doing in your house? It was in my grandmother's basement. My grandpa kept paint in it. Understand, it's American walnut. By the time I finished getting all the old finish off and paint off of it, it was gorgeous. So I wanted to put this in the living room. You know, it's one of those things where you put those pretty things that you want everybody to see but don't touch. It didn't fit. I had a couple people helping me move this furniture around, and we made several trials, and finally I reached that place where I came to the realization I had 3 choices. First one, move somewhere else. I looked at my checkbook and said, well, that ain't gonna happen. The second one, and this is how frustrated I was getting with this situation. Burn the house down. Well, that's forget that, Greg. Okay, there's a fireplace. We'll cut up the furniture and see if the fireplace works. That's where I was in the whole situation. And I began to think about something rather odd. Figs. Figs. I happen to love figs, but it has nothing to do with me loving figs. In the 11th, not the 11th chapter, I'm sorry, in Jeremiah, I have a passage from Jeremiah from the 24th chapter, the first 3 verses. After Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had taken into exile from Jerusalem Jeconiah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, together with the princes of Judah, the craftsmen and the smiths, and had brought them to Babylon, the Lord showed me this vision. Behold, 2 baskets of figs placed before the temple of the Lord. Well, how nice. One basket had very good figs, you know, the kind that are all shiny and prettied up and smiling and well-dressed and well-behaved figs, like first-ripe figs. But the other basket had very bad figs. I figured, you know, these figs would lie and cheat and play cards and drink hard liquor. So bad they could not be eaten. When's the last time you saw a bad fig? Now, I was going to go to the supermarket, and that I did. And, well, this is not the time for figs. So I thought, well, I'll get a ripe tomato and a not-so-ripe tomato. Turned out they were all about the same ripeness. So I couldn't say, well, pretend this is a ripe fig and this is an unripe fig, because you see, the word used here is bisha, evil, but also means immature, unripe, unfinished, undeveloped. And what do evil figs have to do with my living room? Well, a lot. You see, I was seeing a basket full of evil figs. The living room. It was evil. Or the furniture was evil. I mean, am I going to cut 6 inches off the china closet to make it fit? I even considered getting rid of it. And in my mind came the word figs. You can imagine me standing in the middle of this living room that is causing me all this consternation, and I'm thinking, figs? What do figs have to do with this? Figs. Evil figs. I'm looking at evil figs. The figs were unripe. It was not the time yet for the figs to be in season. Unripe, immature. The other basket of figs were ripe and plump and juicy, and that's wonderful. Well, I was looking at the living room as an evil or unripe fig. I wasn't seeing the inherent good in it. Figs. Okay. You're seeing the evil in this living room. You're seeing the evil in the furniture, that they're not working the way you want them to work. Why don't you let the living room reveal itself to you and show you how it wants to be arranged? So we stopped moving furniture for a while. And then all of a sudden, put this there. Put that there. And we stood back, and that evil living room was beautiful. It had good in it. But you see, the problem was my perception of it. I saw the fig as evil. I saw the living room as evil. Saw the furniture as evil. There is inherent good in everything. And at this point, I want to tell you there's a principle in this universe, and I needed to be reminded of it. You find it on the back of your bulletin. The good that is inherent in everything is infinitely greater than any appearance of evil or limitation. Let me try that again. The good that is inherent in everything is infinitely greater than any appearance of evil or limitation. Now remember that. So when you start seeing evil this and evil that, difficulties here, difficulties there, challenges here and there, begin to tell yourself, figs. This is all about figs. I'm seeing evil figs. What's the potential in an unripe fig? To ripen into a succulent, sweet, wonderful piece of fruit. I love ripe figs, I really do. I wouldn't give you anything for an unripe fig except to put it in a bag and let it ripen, or put it on a windowsill and let it have a little bit of sun or whatever. But if you allow it to unfold, you bring out the inherent good, the inherent sweetness. Now, to that principle, the inherent good in everything is infinitely greater than any appearance of evil or limitation. There's a corollary. You may grasp this one right away. The lesser decreases, the lesser decreases as the greater increases. Let me illustrate that with a story I've told you before. I hope you remember it, but maybe it would be better if you didn't. A teacher in the East, a teacher of Jewish mysticism, he had 3 students, and he told them, students, just down this path is a cave. Now, I'd like the 3 of you to go down to that cave. Right now, it's filled with darkness. But what I'd like you to do is go down there and get the darkness out of it. Oh, okay. An assignment from the teacher. That's a good. They marched right on down there, went into the cave, and well, he's right. It's pitch black in here. It's nothing but darkness. So they started chanting to chant it out, pray it out. After a while, they got a little hoarse. It was still dark. They sent somebody out to bring in brooms. And they started sweeping like crazy, raising a lot of dust. And when the dust settled, it was still dark in there. And somebody came up with the idea, why don't you shout it out? So they started yelling and shouting at it. Just about this time, the guru, the teacher, showed up. And he said, children, what are you doing? Well, Rabbi, we tried to pray it out. Oh. And what happened? Nothing. So we tried to sweep it out. I see. And the result of that? Still just as dark as ever. Okay. Well, then we tried to shout it out. Oh, my. And of course, that didn't work either, did it? No. He said, watch. In his robe, he reached and pulled out a candle, and he lit it. And the whole cave filled with light. He said, all you had to do was bring the light in. That's all. There was a program on early television when I was young, and I used to like to watch it. It was called The Christophers. It is better to light one little candle than to sit in the darkness. That was their theme, and they had a piece of music that went with that. I really liked that. My living room was a cave filled with darkness because it wasn't working for me. It wasn't the problem of the living room or the furniture. The problem was me, my perception. All I had to do was bring in light, raise my awareness to a higher level. You don't solve the problem from the same level of consciousness that created it. You have a problem and it came about because of anger, negativity, criticism, condemnation. Whoops, you're not going to fix it from that kind of thinking. You have to rise above it to begin to see truth and see the presence of God and the presence of good. Remember, the inherent good in everything is infinitely greater than any appearance of evil or limitation. And that corollary, the lesser decreases as the greater increases. When he lit the candle, as the light increased, the darkness began to decrease till it was not. When you let the light into your mind, you begin to get ideas, and things reveal themselves to you. One time, Jesus was on the road. It's right after he entered Jerusalem, Palm Sunday. Chris, would you put up this the video?
An actor plays the part of Jesus, and though no actor is worthy of such a role, it has been done so that we may understand and benefit from the life of Jesus.
Your words are spirit and life, O Lord, richer than gold, stronger than death. Your words are spirit and life, O Lord, life everlasting.
Early in the morning, as he was on his way back to the city, he was hungry. Seeing a fig tree by the road, he went up to it, but found nothing on it except leaves. Then he said to it,
May you never bear fruit again.
Immediately the tree withered. When the disciples saw this, they were amazed.
How did the fig tree wither so quickly?
They asked, Jesus replied,
I tell you the truth. If you have faith and do not doubt, not only can you do what was done to the fig tree, but also you can say to this mountain, go throw yourself into the sea, and it will be done. If you believe, you will receive whatever you ask for in prayer.
Notice something here. He gave us a very important piece there, and I think for many, many years I never saw it. He talks about those who pray believing you will receive. He spoke the curse to the fig tree, believing. And he used that as an example of this principle. When you speak a negative word about something, it becomes that to you. The more I thought of the room as evil, impossible, as the furniture, impossible to work with, the more wrapped up and tied up I became. The less any solution was apparent. Remember? When the greater increases, the lesser decreases. Bring some light into it. Now, as he's walking by and he's hungry, he wants a fig, right? Who wouldn't? A nice ripe fig. Sue and I look for them when they come into season, and I'm never sure when that is. We just haven't found any for several years. Good, ripe, fresh figs. Lovely. Well, he's walking by, and what's the problem? In Mark, same exact story, with one little addition. It was not the season for figs. The tree isn't in fruition. It's not progressed enough this season, this year, to produce the figs yet. It's too early. The tree is not in its maturity to produce figs at this time. Is the tree evil? No. It's doing exactly what it is intended to do. It's not the season. But he curses it because he sees it as evil, because it isn't giving him what he wants. We do this all the time. It's not a matter of things being evil, it's because we use things in a wrong way, or we see them in an error or mistaken way, and then we blame them. Whoops. Remember, the inherent good in everything is infinitely greater than any appearance of evil or limitation. You want the greater to come forth. Look to the greater. Look to the inherent good in everything. That means in any situation, whether it's a healing situation, a prosperity demonstration, or lack of a prosperity demonstration, begin to look and realize there is inherent good here. And I just need to allow the situation to reveal the presence of that good to me. Lord, show me. And be open, be receptive to a higher level of consciousness than saw the limitation, the lack. The evil is not a power in opposition to good. My goodness, if that darkness in the cave, that lack of light, was a power in opposition to light, when the rabbi lit the candle, what would have happened? Likely, the dark would have overcome it, and it would have stayed dark. You wake up someday, and if it's a separate power than the power of light, you wake up someday and the world would be dark. Because today, the dark one, it's not a power in opposition. Evil is not a power that can wipe out or push aside good. It's simply the improper use of something, the improper perception of something. Not long ago, I was using a hammer, and I found out something about the hammer. I thought I had an evil hammer. If you've ever used an evil hammer, you hit your thumb with it. Because that seems where evil hammers go, is right to your thumb. Where was the flaw? Where was the problem? Was it something inherent in the hammer? No, the hammer has just as much good in it as it ever did. It was in the application or the applier, me. Yeah. At another time in the Sermon on the Mount, after Jesus talked about the birds of the field, how wonderfully they're clothed, and be not anxious about what you shall wear, what you shall eat, or what you shall drink. He says, take therefore no thought for the morrow should take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Don't you like that? Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Next time you've had a really difficult day and somebody says, well, how's your day going? Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. I'm sure they'd enjoy that. Beat some other things I might be tempted to say. Yeah. Don't be concerned, Jesus is saying, about all the little unripe, unfinished things in this day. Don't get caught up in the little stuff. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Don't be concerned about tomorrow. Don't be concerned about the past. This is the now moment. And in this moment, there is enough what you may call evil, but really is an unripe situation, unfulfilled situations, potential for growth, and inherent good able to come forth if you will perceive it, recognize its presence. So every situation has within it inherent good. The problem is, the challenge is to stop when you begin to find yourself all wrapped up and that internal toaster comes on, and you're starting to heat up. Just like when I was about ready to take a chainsaw to my furniture or the house or who knows what. When you're about ready to deal with a situation like that or someone like that, then it's time to stop and look with clearer eyes. Remember, rising to a higher level of awareness. And that level you're on is causing you the problem. Begin to think from a higher level of awareness, and that is, God is here. God is good. My good is my God, and my God is my good, according to Emma Curtis Hopkins. Our good is here. It is for us to perceive that it's here, that it's ready for us. Jesus also said, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Seek first some inspiration, some guidance. Begin to raise your consciousness to a higher level. We can do that. And when we do that, we begin to see things we didn't see before. How many times have you driven a certain route to home or to the grocery or whatever, and one day you see something along that route you never saw before, and if somebody said, oh, when did they put that there? You would have said, oh, they must have just built it. Well, it's been there for 20 years. Because we didn't see it. We weren't open or receptive to it. We have blind spots in our consciousness. Remember the inherent good in all things. Look for it. If you look for it, you're going to find it. You're going to find that you truly have a living room in all things, in all situations. Place where you can live comfortably, happily, fulfilled, because you know that the good in everything is greater than the appearance of lack or limitation. So next time you come across what looks like a really evil fig, let it ripen. Let it ripen within you. It just might turn out to be sweet.